Hey, my name's Harrison and I'm going to be taking you through my predictions for the 2030 F1 grid. As you can see, we have 12 teams, so up from the usual 10. I'm imagining that Andretti Motorsport are going to come in, and so are an undisclosed team from Saudi Arabia. As you can see, we have around 50 drivers, ranging from F1, F2, reserve driver roles, IndyCar, F1 Academy, F4, Enzo Fittipaldi. No, sorry, it's Pietro, his older brother. He's currently a reserve driver for Haas. He's like 24 years old. He's quite up there. I don't think he'll get a seat, so we'll put him to the side. Fernando Alonso, he's about 41. He's going to be 48 by the time the season runs around. And even though I can see him staying with Aston Martin for a while longer, I don't think he'll be driving at 48. If he does, that would be incredible, but he's gone for me. Let's put someone in. George Russell. He's obviously going to Mercedes, and he's obviously going to stay there for his whole life. He's Toto's little baby child. He's matched Hamilton for as long as he's been there. He deserves to stay. He will stay. Mick Schumacher. This is a very interesting one. He's got ties to Ferrari, obviously. Haas, he used to race with. He's currently a reserve driver for Mercedes. However, I could potentially see him joining up with the German team in Audi and being their marquee signing when they join in 2026. When the Toto will take over properly from Thingy. And that means Valtteri Bottas will be replaced as a driver. He's doing terrible this year. I think he'll be cut from the team completely by 2026 and replaced with someone along the lines of Mick Schumacher. So he is in the bin for me. I don't see him being snapped up by Williams because he is the title Williams or any of the other teams that might come in. I just don't see it. Let's go with Pietro's little brother Enzo, currently a Red Bull Junior in F2 this season. He's not doing great. Yeah, I can't see him doing anything. He's currently 7th in the grid. He's from Brazil, so that might help him. But he'll be 28 by 2030. He's currently 21. Quite a lot older than a lot of the other Red Bull Juniors, so I can't see him going to AlphaTauri. Yeah, he's in the bin or in another series for me. Let's go on to one of these F1 Academy people. So let's start with Hamda Al-Kasabi. Where is she? This one. Currently 2nd in F1 Academy this year. Is 20 years old, so still on the young side. However, I think F1 Academy is on the equivalent scale as F4. So as a 20-year-old in F4, where you're still pretty working your way up through F3 and F2, I don't think she will get a shot at F1. I do think one of these females will get shot, but I don't think it will be her, sadly. Let's get another person. Let's get Dennis Hauger. Red Bull Junior. Had an alright season last year in his first season in F1. However, this season, he's currently 5th. Everyone thought he would be up there fighting for the title. However, Amadou Iwasa has way outperformed him. So has they have a Porsche and maybe Behrman. So if he keeps performing like this, I don't see him getting the seat over Iwasa or even some of the other Red Bull Juniors will come on to at AlphaTauri. Although he does have a lot of backing and I think he's quite well liked. So we'll put him in AlphaTauri for now because he would be 27, which is along the same lines as Gasly. We'll put him in there for now and we'll carry on. He could come back in, who knows. Max Verstappen. I think he'll stay. I know that he's got a contract until like 2028 and he's not sure whether he'll go or come back, but if he does go, he'll do 2 years in motorsport somewhere else or one year in another motorsport like Le Mans, IndyCar, Rallycross or something like that, but I think he'll be back. So I can see him being back for 2030 for Red Bull Racing, back with Christian Horner being the #1 driver. Daniel Ricciardo, he's washed up. He's past it. By the time he comes back, he will be 40. He won't be on the grid by 2030. He won't even get another shot on the grid, I don't think, for the rest of the season or any season to follow. Jack Doohan, very interesting option. Obviously, you got Alpine links. Was in line for the Alpine car after Gasly and after Piastri blew him off. However, this year he's been doing terrible. He's 12th at the moment. It's not great. He's currently 20 years old, so not the youngest on the F2 grid, so should be doing higher along the lines of Porsche or Wasser, but I just can't see it. In the bin. Sorry. Actually, no, we'll keep him for Alpine for now, just in case we don't have enough people. Nick de Vries, I think he's washed up. By the time it's 2030, he'll be 35. No, he's in the bin. Colton Herta. He's another guy that has a lot of potential, although he has been presumed to get a seat last year when the AlphaTauri seat opened up in the Williams seat. However, with him not really getting that, I feel like that was his best shot at getting into F1. I know he has a few McLaren links and a few... Oh, Andretti. Oh. Actually, with the 2026 entry, I could see them bringing in Colton Herta. Let's put him there. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And let's give him a teammate. Logan Sargent. US born and bred. Andretti. I think by then he would have been sacked. By 2026 he'll be sacked by Williams, because he's not doing good enough. But I can see him being picked up by Andretti as someone who's had a few years in F1 now, just to get the team rolling. I reckon he'll stick around as well after that. Let's put him in. For now, anyway. Jack Crawford. Yeah, I'm going to say he's not as good as Hauger. He's not as good as a lot of the other Red Bull juniors they have. I don't see him getting one of the 4 seats that are going to be there. Yeah, he's in the bin for me. Alex Palou, McLaren driver in IndyCar right now. He's doing well. He currently he put a strong showing in the Indy 500. However, and he's currently the reserve driver for McLaren as well. However, I think he's currently like 26. He'll be 33 by the time. He might get what, 1 or 2 shots in F1, but with Piastri and Norris, I don't see them taking him personally. So yeah, I think he's going to stay in the car for a while. Theo Pourchaire, let's put him in Audi. He's part of the academy, of the Sauber Academy. I'm currently second in thinking. I could also see him replacing Bottas. But again, competition for Zoe, so he could be in the similar lines of Mick Schumacher in contention for that Bottas seats once he inevitably leaves when he's washed up. And let's put Zoe in there as well, because I don't see him going to another team, especially he's putting in some decent performances right now. Currently like 15th on the table or something like that. But yeah, we'll keep him in for now and cut one of them in the future. Alex Albon. I can see him. I think he might stay with Williams, you know. I could see him. He's definitely going to be on the grid in the future. He's a great driver and he's proved it this season and last season. I'm a bit unlucky with Red Bull, but he still has those ties. So I could see him going to Red Bull Racing eventually, or Mercedes or another top team. But we'll leave him in Williams for now because he's definitely on the grid in 2030. But just exactly where, I'm not sure yet. Let's continue to cut down these drivers. Lando Norris, good driver. I think he would work well at Ferrari. I could see him going to wanting to go to top team, like Mercedes or Red Bull. But I don't think he would want to be the number 2 driver, because with George there and with Max there, I think you're going to be number 2. But where I think Leclerc's going to be, I think there could be another space for a number 1 driver. Hulkenberg, he's too old. been Robert Schwartzman, Russian, so he won't get a seat anywhere because of the conflicts. And also, I don't think he's that great. I know he did quite well on F2 a few seasons ago, but I don't think he's been very keeping up in the world of racing in terms of being active. So yeah, I think he'll go out. Yuki Tsunoda, I could see him joining up with the Honda team when they go Aston Martin Honda in 2026. I don't think he's putting in strong enough performances to show that he's worthy of that second Red Bull seat alongside Max when Perez leaves eventually. But again, I don't think he's good enough to join Max. But with the Honda ties to Aston Martin, I can see them wanting a Japanese driver in that, and he'll be the perfect fit, especially after Fernando Alonso leaves. Saying that, Stroll in the team, his daddy owns it. His daddy's still going to be kicking around by then, so yeah, he's in the team. Ocon, I can see him staying with Alpine as well. French guy, French team, great connection, love it. Let's just put him in there. He could go Mercedes. That's another option because obviously Toto Wolff and him have a good relationship, and also with Hamilton, probably not going to be around by then. Yeah, we'll rearrange this at the end when we know like at least 30 drivers which we know are going to be in the sport. Because obviously Ocon will be like late 30s or early 30s by then, so he'll be 33 in 2030. So he'll still be around, reaching towards the end of his career, but yeah, still good. Piastri, I think, will stay with McLaren. Lando Norris kind of job, a few years, 5, 6, 7 years with them. See where he ends up. Yeah, I don't see him really going to another team unless he doesn't really perform and then he gets kicked down. I think there's too many young drivers at the top, including Leclerc as well. So yeah, I don't think that's one for him. Let's put Dragovic as well. Is it Dragovic? Yeah, in with Aston Martin because he could also replace Thingy, Fernando Alonso when he leaves. Hamilton, he's already thinking about leaving the sport. I think he could be gone by then, although he could be still with Mercedes or McLaren even. Yeah, I think he's going to be gone by then. Okay, let's go into some of these youngsters then. So we have this guy, Ollie Behrman. Young guy, currently third, is it, or fourth in F2 this year? But in some strong showings at 18 years old. I could definitely see him either having a few years at Audi or Williams at one of these younger teams before going, or Haas even, before going up to Ferrari. So maybe we'll put him in Haas for now, with the look of getting him in that Ferrari seat. Maybe we'll put him in Ferrari for now, and he could get relegated to Haas if there's still not a seat up in that Ferrari. I think the links between Leclerc and Mercedes is too strong. So once Hamilton leaves, I think they'll spend the big bucks and get him in there. The way Hamilton and Russell worked, I think Russell works well alongside a teammate. I don't think it's been very aggressive, and I think with Leclerc it'll be a similar kind of vibe, unless they're fighting right at the front. Get him in there. This Mini? Yeah, Mini. Gabriel Mini, F3 driver. Currently 4th in F3. I don't think that's good enough. He's part of Alpine Academy, but I think they have a lot of other drivers that probably better fit, or might be even younger than they are, performing like F4 or something, that is probably going to be better than him, seeing as he is like 18 right now. So by the time he gets through F2, he's probably going to be 20, 21. Yeah, I don't see him really getting a seat after that. Carlos Sainz. By the time it's 2030, I think it might be time for him to kind of wind down his career. I know he's still quite young. I think he's the 7th oldest driver in the grid though. Yeah, he'll be 35 when it comes, so I think he might be rounding down his career. I could see him looking for a money haul and going to the Saudi Arabian team, which might be coming to the grid. But yeah, I don't really see him staying at Ferrari for very long, especially with the youngsters there coming through, and also with then and Norris potentially becoming available between then and now. Magnussen, He's too old. He'll be gone by then. He's currently 30. He'll be 37 by the time that happens. Yeah, he'll be gone. Perez, similar vibes. Perez is how old is he? Like 33? Yes, he'll be 40. He won't be staying around forever. I think another 2 or 3 years for one of these Red Bull youngsters to come through. And yeah, I think that'll be the end of his day. Pierre Gasly. Let's have a look at him. So he's been doing alright this season. Like in the Alpine, kind of showing, like, keeping form with his teammate Ocon. I can see him staying there for a while, or going to another big team like Red Bull, and kind of being that number 2 driver to Max. But as I said before, I don't think he'll want to go there because he won't be the number 1 driver. And also I think he kind of left it on a toxic term, so I think he'll stay with the Alpine team because he'll still only be like 33 by this time. So he might be reaching the end of his career, but be a good senior driver to take the team forward. Kind of what Haas have at the moment with Hülkenberg and Magnussen. Frederick Vesti. Is it Vesti? Yeah, it's Vesti. Mercedes Junior, currently first in F1 and F2 this year. I could see him starting up at Williams next season, maybe, or a season after when Sargent leaves. But he's quite old as well. How old is he? He's 21. So not the youngest of youths. Let's put him for Williams for now and say that he went there with the aims of getting that Mercedes seat after Lewis Hamilton leaves, but he didn't get the call up over Leclerc, and he just stayed at Williams. Victor Martins, Alpine youngster, 10th in F2. He's 21. Jet Dillon's probably better. Jet Dillon did quite well last year and is having a rough season this year. I don't think he stays at Alpine. I think he gets cut and goes somewhere else. Louis Sharp. He's a young guy racing British F4 this season. Currently first from New Zealand. I think he's got potential. He's only 15 right now, or 16. So he'll probably be in F3 next year. Stay there for a year or two. And then we're at 20, 25. Then he might have a year or two in F2, maybe 3. And then eventually he might be going to the AlphaTauri team. Because he's got ties with the Rodin team, who sponsor Carlin. I can see him following in Liam Lawson's footsteps, being a young New Zealander to go on AlphaTauri. The skill, however, she's called Bianca Bustamante. She's an 18-year-old girl from the Philippines who recently won her first race in Academy, the F1 Academy series. It'd be nice to see her get a seat. I don't think she's affiliated with any teams. So maybe we can put her in the Saudi Arabian team for now. They're making a splash and making some kind of difference to show that they're modernising, maybe. We'll keep her in there for now. She'll be 25 by this time, so maybe just starting her career in the sport. Antonio Giovinazzi, F1 reserve driver, used to race for Sauber. He won't get a seat. This guy, Mr. Ugo Chukwu. He's a 16-year-old racing in Italian F4. Currently second in the standings. I could see him going to McLaren. McLaren like their youngsters, and by the time he gets there, he'll be like 23, is it? Yeah, 23. So I could see him joining that team with the older Piastri, kind of taking the reins over. Who's this geezer? This is William McIntyre. He's a young guy racing in F4 this season. 15-year-old. I don't even really know much about him. He's not really affiliated with anyone, so unless he does, I don't see him kind of emerging through. But for all we know, he could emerge through and join someone. But yeah, as I said, I don't really see him coming through. This guy though, I think he's got a lot of potential. His name is Arvid Lindblad. He's a young Red Bull junior from the UK, currently 15, racing in Italian F4. He's currently first in F4. I could also see him taking over the AlphaTauri seat. Maybe him alongside Lewis Sharp to get 2 young guys in there instead of Hauger, because Hauger will be quite old by then, like 25, 26. Maybe even older, 27 even. Liam Lawson, I can see him spending a few years at AlphaTauri and then being promoted to be a second driver alongside Red Bull. I don't think he's very contentious. I mean, I don't think he'll cause a lot of drama in that team. I think he'll be a good fit alongside Mr. Heaven to be that number 2 driver. We need kind of more hash drivers. Who is there left? This guy, he's the youngest guy on the Red Bull roster, racing and karting right now. His name is Enzo Tarvanuccico. He's a 15-year-old racing in karting still, from Thailand. I can also see him getting an AlphaTauri seat, but we'll see. We'll cut those down eventually later too. This kid, he's a hot shot. His name is Andrea Kimi Antonelli, kind of racing in Formula Regional as a Mercedes Junior. If he gets promoted to F3 next season, I can see him kind of coming up with the same, because he's only a 16-year-old, so maybe F3 next season, and coming up and eventually making his way to that Mercedes team. But as again, you're not getting over those two, so we'll put him and Williams as a feeder team for now, alongside Vesti. This kid, who's this? This is Pepe Marti, an affiliated F3 member, currently second in F3, but as he's unaffiliated, I can't really see him going anywhere. Yeah, we'll put him out for now. Ayome Iwasa, he's in line for this AlphaTauri seat as well. It's getting a bit full over here, isn't it? But we'll put him in there for now. We'll calm down, move around eventually later when we get through the rest of these guys. Alpine youngster, here we go. This is Nikola Slovov? Something like that. Anyway, he's a Alpine youngster racing in F3, currently 20th, but he's only 16 in F3. So hopefully he can develop well, and he could join the Alpine team. But as I said, he'll only be 23 by the time, so he can still even be racing in F2 or being even like a reserve driver for them. So I don't see him becoming full-time just yet. The current leader of F1 Academy is Marti Garcia. She's a Spanish 20-year-old. She's way ahead at the top. She's doing very well this year. However, as she's 2 years older than Bianca, I don't see her getting a seat, sadly. I think she'll be a bit too early. And also she has to make her way through the series as well, through the F3 and F2 series most likely, so I don't see it happening. This is Gabriel Mini, the last guy left in my grid that hasn't been put anywhere yet. I don't really see him getting a seat. Yeah, he's an Alpine reserve driver, but as I said before, they got Jet doing there. Well, this guy is second in F3, and he's only A17. So actually, no, Dylan can go on the bin. He's done shocking this year. I'm changing my mind. Marty can go in as either reserve driver or someone as we figure out where everyone else is going. Okay. So let's figure out who's going where. Sadly for Mini, I don't think he'll replace either one of those two. He could be the reserve driver for then because he'll be 25. Maybe get a few practice sessions in, or maybe he might start replacing them, Ocon or Gasly, if they don't perform. So sadly, I'm going to throw him in the bin. Then we've got 3 drivers for Audi. As I said, the German links for Schumacher. We've got the Sauber links for Porsche, who's performed well last year and this year in F2. We've got Guang Yu Zhou. I can see them leaving Guang Yu Zhou or having him go to Haas eventually, because that's the only other seat I can see being available. Similar with Dragovic, although I don't think he will get a seat. I think he was quite lucky to win his season in F2. I don't really see the pathway to Aston Martin being there unless he replaces Alonso. But as I said, I think they'll take the Tsunoda for the Honda links in 2026 because it lines up nicely with when Alonso might leave if he has another year after this and then signs a 1-year deal. So yeah, I think Dragovic we'll put him in the Haas team for now, but I don't think he will get there. I think Vesti won't, because he'll be too old by then. I think he'll be like 27, 28 by the time the 2030. So I could see them Mercedes preferring to get a youngster in, because by the time both of their drivers at their team will be getting older, and they'll want someone younger to come in and come through. So certainly for Vesti, I don't think it will be his day. Similar with Hauger, I think Iwasa is just a better option right now for AlphaTauri, and then he can kind of be that driver leading them through, alongside Louis Sharp probably, or actually Iwasa. Let's get Dragovic out, because I don't see him being sent up by Haas, because they want proven talent. But I can see them getting a youngster in, kind of like what they did with the rookies, and who better than a guy with loads of cash who spent a few years in AlphaTauri before, imagining that he goes in a 2 or 3 years time. And then Iwasa, I think similar vibes. Actually, I prefer Iwasa over Hauger. Iwasa can go in there, similar kind of storylines. Where Tsunoda goes after a year or two, Iwasa goes into that team, and then eventually he needs to make way for these youngsters coming through. So yeah, and that leaves this young man, Enzo Taverniccical. I think he'll be a bit too young, because he'll be only 22 by then. So maybe he'll be coming to the end of his F2 career, and we'll be looking for one of these seats. And that leaves my final grid. So we have George Russell and Charles Leclerc racing for Mercedes, Red Bull and Liam Lawson racing for, or Max Verstappen and Liam Lawson racing for Red Bull, Norris and Ben racing for Ferrari, Ocon and Gasly still at Alpine, Stroll and Tsunoda at Aston Martin, Schumacher and Porsche at Audi, Piastri and Ugo Chukwu at McLaren, Louis Sharp and Arvid Lindblad at AlphaTauri, Zhou and Iwasa at Haas, Albin and Andrea Kimi Antonelli at Williams, Herta and Sargent at the All-American Andretti team, and Sainz and Bianca Bustamante at the Saudi Arabian team. Let me know what you think. Who would be in your 2030 grid? Let me know if it's anything similar, or you don't agree with any of my suggestions. Peace.